after Donald Trump directed the Attorney General to investigate Act Blue, the largest fundraising platform for the Democratic Party and Democratic causes, the top Democratic member of Congress serving on the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jamie Raskin, said this in response. He said, quote, "What a striking development. Foreign nationals are spending millions on Trump-owned cryptocurrencies right now in apparent hopes of buying their way out of federal criminal investigations through undisclosed payments. So it's rich indeed for Americans to read now that Trump has launched a big initiative to, quote, crack down on foreign influence in American politics, with one purpose: crippling the fundraising platform of his political opponents. Today's presidential decree targeting the campaign infrastructure of the Democratic Party with precisely zero evidence of wrongdoing is the kind of edict you would expect from a power-mad dictator in a banana republic." That's the reaction tonight from Congressman Jamie Raskin after the president did sign a bizarre executive order targeting the main Democratic fundraising platform, Act Blue. Joining us exclusively now is the CEO and president of Act Blue, Regina Wallace-Jones. Ms. Wallace-Jones, thank you very much for being here. I know it's been a pretty intense day.
Thank you for having me, and indeed it has.
I gather you've been expecting some kind of order, some kind of action from Trump for some time. Is this what you expected?
You know, actually, we have been engaged, obviously, in deep cooperation with several congressional committees for the last year and a half that have been looking into the fundraising practices of Act Blue. The escalation that happened over the last couple of days was something I would not say we were expecting, but are certainly not surprised by the actions that are taking place here. And the one thing that I wanted to do, and which I feel really grateful for, is that you've allowed me to come here and say to the over 28 million donors who have given on Act Blue and to the 40,000 entities who raise on Act Blue, that we are here to fight for you and with you to continue to preserve an institution that we have all grown to love, appreciate, and respect. And that there is nothing that Donald Trump has put out in front of, President Trump, has put out in the atmosphere that we feel worried about. We are undeterred, unbothered, and will continue to do the work that we are doing to raise for Democratic wins.
How will you fight back against this order? Is this something where you sort of want to see what the Attorney General does, want to see what the practical impact of it is before you act, or do you expect to go to court right away?
We have no expectations for how this will unfold. It's a memorandum, and it was effectively guiding the Attorney General to look into our activities and report back to the Council of Presidents, which is an unusual outcome for an investigation of this sort. But it is one that we will cooperate with, however, and whatever pace it moves. And the thing that I know about Act Blue is that we are an organization that has consistently been the most transparent, the most reliable, the most fraud-free, the most effective in the work that we do in Democratic fundraising. And we expect the Attorney General to appreciate that as they're looking into our practices, and we're expecting her to report back exactly the goodness that we know about ourselves to the Council of Presidents when she moves.
You know, you mentioned 28 million donors. That's a huge proportion of the American public that has made a donation of one kind or another through Act Blue. 40,000 different entities, campaigns, and causes. For people who may have donated to Act Blue, through Act Blue, for people who have maybe benefited from them, been associated with an entity or campaign that has raised funds on it, if people want to support you as you try to maneuver through this experience with the Trump administration, are you asking people to do anything in particular to support you?
You know, one of the interesting things about Act Blue is a large part of what makes Act Blue move and operate as an organization is actually not payment processing or the transactional processing that's happening. It's actually a small percent of what makes us move, or a smaller percent of what makes us move. The way that we survive is by the tips that donors offer to Act Blue upon giving to the candidates and the cause that they are making donations to. And so this is something that has been true for Act Blue from its very beginning. This is something that we continue to double down on. And this is something that the faithful donors inside of the Act Blue ecosystem have consistently done. So we are asking at this time that donors do two things. One is not forget about the campaigns and causes that we are collectively fighting for. It is, 2025. We've got elections that are happening this year. We have bigger elections that are happening next year, and we have causes that that we can continue to support no matter what. That we not forget to do that, and as our donors are doing that, as donors are doing that, that they not forget that the way that we survive is by the kind and generous tips that they offer to the organization. So that's how we survive, and that is something that we continue to ask for. The larger and most important thing, however, is that we want all of us to acknowledge that this is not about Act Blue at all. It is about shutting out opposition and closing down the democratic process to words and voices and contributors and candidates that would otherwise be in opposition to President Trump. And we recognize that for what it is. And we want to continue to make sure that we enable the voices of democracy to act with urgency, to act with care, to act with tremendous support, as they always have, and to continue to make the candidates and the causes that we're fighting for valiant and victorious in their work through the donations that are coming through the Act Blue platform.
Yeah, if there is one sort of silver lining here, it's the president has made it very, very, very clear that the reason he is targeting Act Blue is because Act Blue is the fundraising infrastructure of what he sees as his political opposition. There's the transparency there is at least a blessing. Regina Wallace-Jones, CEO and president of Act Blue, thank you so much for your time. Stay in touch with us. We'd love to stay apprised.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. More news ahead. Stay with us.